It honestly feels a bit weird to be recording again. I will say I took all of my stuff to Dallas. I recorded that last episode. I think it was episode 14 in my room while I was whispering so I didn't wake anybody up in the house. And then after that, I cut the episode into clips, didn't post it at all. I had my microphone. I bought an additional microphone, mixer, all the shit I needed. All the stuff I needed to have a friend on there or a family member just to kind of expand on the podcast as I was wanting to do. Didn't record a single episode. Didn't even open it. There were times that night where I kind of thought, oh, like maybe I should, pull all the stuff out. I have friends here. Everyone's been drinking a little bit. It'd be nice to have just like a little conversation. We record it, we post it, we have content. Just never happened. I had full intentions of doing so, just didn't happen. It's been 2 weeks now. 2 weeks now, but man, firstly, I apologize. Secondly, boy, was it needed. It was so badly needed. I don't know what it was, but I just felt like I was running into a wall, right? Just churning out shit because I had to churn stuff out. Oh, here comes Monday. I need to put something out. And don't get me wrong, here I am recording on Sunday once again because, it's time to post on Monday. But it helps to have just a little bit of a breathing space, whatever. Don't mind my English. Still recovering a little bit. It helps to have the breathing space just to regroup, just I guess to be calm because it's not like I came up with new ideas, new concepts. I'm back in the OG studio, right? Nothing's new, but man, it just feels better to be energized about it again. So with that, welcome ladies and gentlemen to episode 15. If I got this number incorrect, I do apologize right off the bat. This is the Ajay Patel show. My name is Ajay Patel and I am back in Los Angeles, California. It's sunny and it's about 60 degrees throughout the day. Nice little breeze at night for a little weather update. But man, I was loving the weather in Dallas. I guess Texas and no, I was just in Dallas and then Cabo. But in Dallas, it's from about October, I would say from October to February. Texas has some of the best weather. It gets a bit too cold at times, right? Especially now with, sometimes it'll snow in February and then Dallas can't really deal with icy roads. So everything shuts down. You can't even get Uber Eats. Like you can't leave the house because Dallas doesn't even have the infrastructure to salt the roads, like let's say a Chicago and New York, places that are used to dealing with cold weather. In addition to that, everyone's kind of seen the issue with like Dallas power grids. I think last year or 2 years ago at this time, January, February time is when that whole power grid malfunction happened and people's apartments were pretty much just bursting into pipes bursting left and right because nothing was working. People were using water in the tub to flush the toilet. Shit was crazy. But the weather itself, maybe let's cut it off at January, some of the best weather. But here we are back in LA. It's been hard to get back into the routine of things still. I haven't been to the gym in forever. I haven't cooked in a minute. I've been eating out all week, but I don't know whether to blame that on going back home, like, traveling that kind of throws your routine off, or it's just more so the wedding routine of things. And I'll dive into that in a little bit, but it's just like you go back home, and I think it really is the wedding stuff. Cuz when I go home, right, I'm eating decent. Obviously, I am eating like a little bit of a fat ass because my mom just, capitalizes on that time. Oh, you got to eat this. You got to make, you got to eat this. I made this for you. You got to eat this. You go to someone else's house, you go hang out with friends, you're eating out, like you're just not eating the healthiest, but there's still a routine. There's still a routine. You're sleeping a decent amount of hours. Let's say you go for a walk, you go for a little run, you have an okay routine. Versus when it's like weddings thrown into that fold, you're not sleeping, you're drinking, you're eating like shit. And like I said, we'll dive into that into much greater detail later. But like I said, it's just so much harder right now to get back into a routine of things, especially with about to go right back to Dallas for Christmas and New Year's. But, I keep saying like, I'll start Monday. I'll start Monday. And I think I'm just kind of being a punk ass at this point because I've already been back for a week. I've been blaming it on kind of being sick, but I'll start Monday. Now, this episode is going to be pretty heavy on wedding topics. And for those that aren't the biggest fan of that, I do apologize, but that's literally what my last 2 weeks has consisted of. I first started off by flying off to, so the last time I talked to you guys was right before I flew out to Cabo. I flew to Cabo for the wedding of my friends Anushka and Anurag. And I don't know if you've been to Cabo or not, but it's a party central, right? Like any of those places that are very resort oriented, Cancun, Cabo, let's throw Puerto Vallarta in there. It's an absolute party. So I was pretty excited to layer on this whole aspect of a wedding on there because it's just so convenient to have everything in one spot. Even when people throw weddings in hotels and the events are at the hotel, there's nothing more convenient than that. So the same thing goes with these resorts, right? You go, you're checking into some resort. Where's the event? Oh, it's downstairs. Where's the next event? It's downstairs. Where's the next event? Next to downstairs. It's awesome. You forget something, you can just run upstairs and go get it. You're hungry, skip the event and go eat at whatever function or sorry, whatever restaurant is available. All you can eat, all you can drink. It it's a hidden luxury. Not even a hidden, right? Everyone freaking does it at this point. And let me add a quick disclaimer here. My thoughts are going to be all over the place in this episode. It's going to be revolving in the wedding atmosphere, but it's going to be all over the place to an extent. That's the upside and downside of, I guess that's just the downside of taking 2 weeks off. Though I might be energized and excited to release an episode. Am I still recording? Okay. Excited to release an episode. The downside is I have so much shit in my head that I want to say. I'm not even going to be talking about headlines this week because so much happened in the last 2 weeks, so much content, which is nice, right? But when there's a lot of stuff, it can come off as like a little discombobulated. So, disclaimer there. I apologize if it is all over the place. But like I was saying, I was excited for this wedding to be in Cabo, mainly because one, it's such an easy flight out of Texas. Two, everything is set up, right? Everything is set up. As soon as you land, there's a shuttle to take you here, or sorry, take you to the resort. As soon as you get to the resort, your room's already ready, right? They're going to take your bags upstairs. You're barely tipping because you're in Mexico versus like in the States where they expect, oh, you're not tipping $10. Oh, you're only tipping 5. In Mexico, they don't care. They're the happiest freaking people in the world. Every single time you talk to them, oh my goodness, the nicest. Oh, hola, hola, hola. Oh my gosh. They'll help you take your stuff to your room. They'll help you unpack if you need to. Oh, you need something ironed? You call them. And they're not sitting there waiting for a tip. They literally say thank you and they dip. We get to the resort and it was overall just a ton of fun. It was basically like, and this is kind of weddings in general, right? It's like being back in college. You're with all of your friends, I guess, depending on the guest list, right? Sometimes the guest list can be much more family dominant and you see less friends there or less friends that you see in college. But this couple, Anushka and Anurag for Cabo, they've done such a good job at basically keeping so many friends from college, right? Two different friend groups that have kind of come together and molded to a good equilibrium, right? It's hard to kind of get two different friend groups, whether there's a lot of overlap or not, but it is hard to kind of get two friend groups to overlap to an extent. This one, man, I don't think I've seen anything smoother than this. It's a lot of fun when you get that groom side and bride side to just be hanging out together. A lot of times you'll see kind of just, oh, the bride side doing their thing, that whole friend group, they're after partying in their suite, they're doing this, they're doing that, and then the groom side doing their thing. And then obviously the third factor being just like families, right? Uncles, aunties, children. You don't really layer that in much. But this Cabo wedding was a ton of fun because of that awesome overlap. Everyone was together the whole time. It basically felt like college again. Everyone was partying, being nice to each other, hanging out, talking. It was crazy. And it really is that college environment where everyone's back together. You're basically just partying. You have a couple of priorities, right? Oh, yeah, I got dance practice for 2 hours later in the day. Oh, yeah, I got to go eat and then I got to go iron my clothes. But then you're back to it. You're back to partying together. You're back to hanging out. And that is what I keep attributing why this wedding was so fun. The bride and groom also did amazing, right? As far as their dances, speeches, hanging out with family, hanging out with friends. Awesome. Incredible effort. But as far as my individual, right? As an individual that is attending this wedding, I literally felt like I was in college again. What was really awesome is, the bride, right? She was on this dance team in college, and my girlfriend, who I've spoken about plenty of times on this podcast, Isha, she was also on that dance team. That is, I think, how I originally met her, through dance team stuff. But anyways, the extended friend group of the bride, I was never really close to them. Maybe a handful of them, maybe like, let's say 30%. The other 70% was always kind of like 3 to 4 degrees away. And I don't know what it was. And I always felt kind of like, damn, like, is there a thing? Like, do they not like me for some reason? Do I need to kind of like distance myself a little bit? What did I do? Is it something I'm doing? Am I not being funny? And that shit will get to your head, especially someone like me, where it's just like, damn, bro, why does everyone keep putting their shoulder to me when I come enter the conversation? Is it because I'm loud? Is it because this or that? What is it? And it was really interesting to see this time around where that dynamic changed tremendously. I was talking to multiple folks of that 70%, way more than I ever have in my life. And they were reciprocating the energy, which was just like, damn, what is the change here? Is it just being older? Have I changed? Have they changed? What, like, what are all the factors here? The one thing I did tie it to is, this is probably the two things. One being, it was more quality time, right? You got to actually hang out with these folks. Though you may be drinking and not 100% sober, you get to still catch these people in certain pockets. Let's say I went a day early and got to hang out with a handful of people. So it's a smaller group. You get to actually have a conversation versus just, yelling in each other's ear during like the reception or any other event that includes partying and music and stuff. So the quality time increases, which I think helps a lot, because it's like, oh, wow, this person actually is a decent person. I can actually hear what they're saying. They actually are asking me questions. The second thing is, and this is a very proven concept, is when you get in a relationship, I think people just accept you. Not I think. People just accept you more with open arms. Right? I don't know whether it's just like, oh, this guy's not interested in us, therefore we are open to welcoming him in. Right? We know this guy's not creeping around. We know that this guy's not trying to hook up with anybody. So we can welcome him in. We can welcome him in, give him a hug, hype him up, be nice, like all of this stuff. It's not like these people were not nice to me, right? That 70%, they were still nice to me, cordial. But there's no feeling where it's just like, damn, bro, do I even like hanging out with you? Vice versa. Do you like hanging out with me? Or are we just forcing this every single time we're together? So this time around, I will say, with that 70%, like, there was maybe, let's say, 10% of people that I was just like, damn, I didn't really talk to them. But 90%, that's a lot of freaking people, bro. I was talking my ass off. There were points in the night where I was just losing my voice, and I was like, this is pretty embarrassing to talk like this. So I'm just gonna go to sleep. That was when I decided to go to sleep. When it was like, yeah, you know what? I sound like an idiot. It's time to go to sleep. To sum up the Cabo wedding, right? Outside of the just absolute fun I was having with friends in general, old friends, new friends, that was probably the craziest after party I've ever been to. And look, I'm no loser, right? I've been to a handful of good after. Sorry if I bumped the mic there. I've been to a handful of good after parties. I feel like I've done a great job at after parties, entertaining, playing music, dancing, whatever it is. I guess that all falls under the entertainment umbrella, but still, this shit in Cabo was stupid. It was dumb. There was points where I was just stepping back and nodding my head because I was like, this shit's crazy. This shit is nuts. I am having such a fun time that I don't understand what's going on. The biggest downfall of after parties at these weddings is they'll quickly get ended by noise complaints, right? Someone will come out of their room being like, hey, you guys need to keep it down. Or sorry, security will come up being like, you guys need to keep it down. Another issue is like, if you go from the reception site to another place, you lose a lot of people. So how do you keep that party from the reception going into a different place that won't get ended by a noise complaint until an indefinite time? It is hard. In addition to that, I don't know why I never thought of this before, but having an actual DJ at the after party is insane. It's next level. The bride, her cousin was kind of stalking up the. So I stayed in the bridal suite with my girlfriend. We were in the opposite room than the bride. This is how close I was into the wedding. And the cousin, man, I might be saying the wrong relationship here. Anyways, he was filling up the back fridge with all this liquor, all this beer. And I was just like, hey, bro, like, I don't think this shit's going to get consumed. Normally at these after parties, it's just beer and White Claw, right? People have already been drinking throughout the reception. All they're going to drink is this beer and White Claw. And sure enough, all of that shit was finished by the end of the night. By the end of the morning, I guess, right? By 5 a.m., all of that shit was gone. And that's when I knew, holy shit, Indian people have a freaking problem. Second, we go back to the music thing, where the DJ from the reception, who's a good friend of mine, DJ Moti, you guys can find him on Instagram, out part of Outspoken Visions, tag him, hire him. He's awesome. He set up his entire getup in the suite. And I was like, what the hell? I've never seen an actual DJ at an after party. Unless, like the after party is at like an actual club and there's bottles and shit like that. No, this was literally in the suite. The DJ from the reception came there to set up, and it was crazy. What I think changed the course of the after party was when you leave the traditional shit you've been hearing for 4 nights. You get in on Wednesday night, there's an event, Thursday night event, Friday kind of an event, Saturday reception. At all these events, you're hearing the same music, right? You're hearing Bollywood, you're hearing some of the classic tracks, you're hearing the usual, top 50 in hip hop and R&B and stuff. At the after party, that's where the set kind of started, right? It started with your traditional reception playlist. And what I realize now is the after party, the only music that should be played there is throw that ass music. Throw that ass music. And oh my gosh, my friend Thanusha went up there, who has recently started dabbling in the DJ stuff. And she just started playing all these H-Town bops. And now I'm not saying that they were necessarily from H-Town artists, but it felt very H-Town vibes. Just like I said, shake that ass music. And man, that place erupted. It was crazy. It was like being in a boiler room set. She was going crazy. Everyone was crowding that DJ table. Everyone's drinking, doing their own thing. People sitting on a couch, people vibing out, people recording. Everyone's throwing up the flashlight on their phone. That shit was insane. So I wrap this up with saying, if you're having an after party, hire a freaking DJ and play and shake that ass music. Now, while I'm on this music while I'm on this music conversation and talking about my beef with some DJs, the second thing I have is this, and this happened at both weddings. There's a lot of good music out there. Endless almost, right? Someone could come in and just play a random 10 songs, and you'd be like, damn, I didn't even think of that song. I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that. There's so much music out there. And yet DJs still continue to play All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled. Every single reception, it never fails. Where it's like, yo, this DJ's killing it. Oh my gosh, bro, I'm having such a good time. All I do is win, 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 no matter. Oh my goodness gracious, bro. It's bad when people start just looking at each other. Or, okay, if you're a DJ, check this out. If people start looking at you on the dance floor, it's time to switch the song. At the second reception I went to, there were times where it was like, hey, bro, it's time for you to switch this shit up. But sometimes DJs are just, they stay on that track. They're like, nah, I think I'm killing it, therefore I'm gonna stay on this shit. And it's what a horrible freaking loop. What a horrible stance where, yo, read the room, my boy. Read the room. Nobody likes All I Do Is Win anymore. That shit was cool when it came out in 2010, 12. I don't even know. That's way too early. Maybe not. Nobody likes this song anymore. People used to scream shit at that little pause before, and they stay there, and they stay there. No one cares anymore. Everyone puts their hands up and just looks at each other, just waiting to die. Everyone looks at each other just like, damn, why are we out here singing this bullshit song once again? So much good music out there. And every reception I've heard, All I Do Is Win. I understand the classics, right? Beware the Boys, all the classic Punjabi tracks where the beat is just damn near irresistible. It gets people, right? It gets that young generation, it gets the old generation. It's a good song to use to get everyone bopping. All I Do Is Win is not one of those. If you're listening to this, I want you to comment some bullshit songs that DJs do be playing. Because it's not bad on them, right? I understand. I have been on the aux cord sometimes at these pre-parties and stuff, and there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of freaking songs out there where you're just like, damn, bro, what do I play? What do I play? What do I play? What do I play? Especially if you don't have a preset playlist. That's a lot of pressure. Where you're like, damn, bro, this next song could work, or it could literally kill this dance floor. Everyone, as soon as you see that dance floor disperse, you're like, God damn. Because that is a big ass hill to climb back up to get everyone back out there again. Especially during a reception where, there is a natural almost flow, right? People are on the dance floor, they're at the bar, they'll be at the photo booth, back at the bar, dance floor, and it just continues. And this cycle continues. So as a DJ, it's like, yo, you gotta be able to capitalize on that shit when they're out there. And then we move over to the MC side of things. Now, I pride myself on being a good MC. Probably not the best, but good. Good where the aunties and uncles will compliment me. Good where the younger folks will compliment me. We keep it short. We keep it concise. We keep it a little bit ha ha he he, and we move on. Right? The name of the game, and we've talked about this before, is keeping that program in a certain window. You already know people's speeches are going to go over. People have stopped caring about, you know what, I should probably just talk for 3 to 5 minutes. People now will go on 20-minute speeches, and you can't stop them. You literally cannot stop them, whether it's a mom, dad, sister, brother, friend. You can't stop them. They will type out an entire thing on their phone in the notes app. They won't rehearse it. They'll go up there, and then they'll say it. And then they realize, God damn. If you're giving a speech, here's a quick note. Look at the bride and groom. And if they ever break their smile, that's when you know, oh shit, I've been going on a little too long. But going back to the MCing thing, it's just like, you can't control any of that stuff. And with DJs nowadays, whether it's like a DJ MC combo or just a separate MC that like the bride and groom hired separately, I don't know whether it's just a beef I have, like, oh, like, man, I should have been MCing this shit. Or if it's just a general legitimate complaint. Where stop being hacky, bro. Stop being hacky. Don't call my dad my king. Don't call my mom my first love. Cut it out. You don't know who my first love was. And look, I'm telling you, this is just personal. This is me just being a salty dude. I'm just gonna go. I'm right here admitting this right now. But I told you I'm covering everything wedding wise. And that is just my small beef with MCs. I told you I was gonna be all over the place with this one. So I put in a quick iterative apology here where my bad. There's just a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of, like, especially because throughout this year, I've been to so many weddings. And so with these being back to back, holy shit, was it tiring and awesome. But man, like, it's like small things kind of start stacking. I had no beef with any of the events, like the bride and groom. They did awesome. These events were so elaborate, so awesome. And you know how much shit goes into that. I myself I'm not married. I haven't been through, I haven't planned a wedding, but I was part of one, right? Like my sister got married back in 2017. Past that, I have all my friends that got married. I've choreographed dances. I've been, in the suite while they're getting ready. I know the whole behind the scenes shit. Not to the extent a bride and groom knows it, but a decent amount. And so now we get on to wedding number 2, Natasha and Jonathan. Man, was this one of the most elaborate, decorated weddings I've seen ever. I think this was the most beautiful wedding I've seen. And by wedding, I'm talking about the encompassing all the events. Where there was times where I opened the door or like, I peeked into the door and I was like, God damn, that shit's crazy. That shit is nuts. I have never seen, like, when you go to enough weddings, you see all the decor styles, right? You can almost sometimes name like, oh, they probably hired this group. But this one, oh my goodness. My friend Natasha's a bougie gal, but holy shit, did she kill it. And whatever part Jonathan had to do with it too, whatever part the groom had to do with it too, murdered it. It was beautiful. And what was hilarious is this, the Cabo wedding was in 90-degree heat where people are, putting fans on themselves throughout the whole ceremony. You're not even sitting throughout it. And then fast forward to the Dallas wedding, or this was in Frisco/Plano. Let's just say Plano, where it's like 40 degrees outside. And the first ever midnight ceremony I've been to. And boy, was it cold. It was an elaborate evening with a very formal dinner that they had a Michelin star chef come in. It was amazing. And that was the one time that it was like, you're actually eating food. You're actually sitting down, finally eating. Because at all these other events, you kind of just snack. You just snack and then you're partying, you wake up, and then you repeat. So having this formal dinner was so nice because you're sitting there, the food is coming to you. You don't have to go up there and then wait in the buffet line. Bar is open iteratively. There's a couple speeches. No one's going for more than 10 minutes. It was awesome. And then the ceremony, like basically like all other ceremonies, you sit there, you have the groom part where he does his thing in the mandap, pujas, whatever. The most beautiful part is when the bride comes in, and this is for Cabo and Dallas, right? Bride comes in, sits down. You wait maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour if you're a good person. Next thing you know, you're inside. You're inside or you're somewhere else other than sitting down in your seat. One, because it's either hot or cold. Two, you do get a little restless and then you kind of just start talking. You just start talking. And it's like, damn, like, should we just take this conversation elsewhere? And I don't think it's that offensive. I think the bride and groom understand at points where it's like, yeah, I understand it's hot as hell out here. Go inside. I feel really bad about it because it's like, damn, bro, like you paid for these chairs. You pay for people to witness y'all get married. But also, I'm pretty cold, so I'm going to go inside. But like I was saying, this was one of the most decorated weddings I've seen. It was beautiful. And like I was talking about, like fashion in general and how that's always evolving and how do you keep up with that shit? Same thing with all these other factors of an Indian wedding. Oh, because that's what people talk about. People talk about the food, people talk about the decoration, and then somewhat of the cohesiveness of a wedding. Right? Did people seem, were people always scrambling all over the place? Was everything starting on time or off time? And then the food, obviously being food, and then decoration, like I said. Those are the three main pillars. And if you can nail those three, yeah, sure, you'll entertain your friends a little bit. But it's those uncles and aunties that will always they'll talk about your shit on site. They won't even wait till after the event. They'll be like, oh, you didn't have any butter chicken at this event? Oh, you didn't decorate this part of the hall? It's crazy. That's how crazy these Indian weddings are. And the standards that they get held to and keep rising to be held to. Now, I wrap up all this wedding talk with this. These weddings are not reality. If you were to explain, like if coworkers are like, oh, how was the wedding you went to? You can't actually tell them what you did. You'll tell them some bullshit, right? Like, oh yeah, it was pretty. It was a lot of fun. It was a little hot. Yeah, it was a little cold. But you just pander. You don't actually tell them what you did. If you ask a white person, any American wedding, they'll be like, yeah, it It was beautiful. The bride did this. We partied all night. Then we went to sleep. Woke up. The flight home was crazy. That's the biggest thing that they'll talk about. Oh yeah, the travel. An Indian wedding. If you were to tell someone what you actually did, you would sound like a psychopath. If you told them, yeah, I got in 5 days before on Tuesday. What? Yeah, I got in on Tuesday. I partied with them that night, stayed up till about 5. Yeah, we were just in someone's room, just kind of talking, shooting the shit, drinking too. Yeah. And then we woke up the next day, slept for about 2 hours, and then got ready for this event at about 10 a.m. We went outside. We put Holdy on the bride and groom, and then we jumped into the ocean. After that, we got out, showered, and then we were getting ready for the nighttime event. Oh yeah, we were drinking there. We stayed up till about 5. Yeah, I had to do some work, so I sent some emails out. So then the next day, now we're on Thursday. I was doing the same thing again. Oh, did you eat anything good? Nope. All I ate was Advil. Advil, a little bit of butter chicken and naan, and that's it. I'm drinking like a maniac. You're barely eating. You're barely sleeping. You're you're high as hell off of dopamine because of all your friends being in this one little bubble again. And it's just not reality. You wake up and you're like, "Hey, what are y'all up to? Y'all want to go get breakfast? Nah, but this bar is open down the street. Y'all want to start there? What? That's a wedding." And I understand. Look, I'm not supporting any of this behavior. It's absolutely insane. It's some of the most fun you'll ever have in life. It is actual. What's the word I'm looking for? Degenerate behavior. Easily. For the people that just come in on reception night and party, just come in the wedding and reception, dude, good on them. Good on them. Because you do that one night, sure, you might have a little hangover Sunday, and that's it. You do this shit 5 nights straight, take 2 nights to yourself, and then do it another 5 nights. How is that even sustainable? I'm about 2 weeks behind in work. I haven't looked at anything. I haven't opened up emails. I haven't responded to shit. In addition to that, like I said earlier, I've been eating like shit. I haven't worked out. I haven't even unpacked fully. But that's the joy, man. And that's just the reality that breaks during these weddings. And man, it is awesome. Now we get into the Thanksgiving side of things. Like I said, the second wedding was Thanksgiving weekend. So on Thanksgiving Day, there was an event. So I wasn't really with the family. I was staying at home for a couple of days, but, check it to the hotel for the later events. And I was thinking about kind of like the progression of Thanksgiving in general. We used to be a family that, we would get together with all the uncles and aunts, and all the kids would get together. We'd all be under one roof. Someone would do a turkey. People are making sides. It's the traditional, quote unquote, traditional Thanksgiving get together. It's kind of just dissolved out now for probably the past 4 years, I want to say, excluding any COVID time, because, it's like, oh, you can't get together. I feel like it's just dissolved out. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's just this concept of like, oh, like when the kids are getting older, we just hang out a little bit less. In addition to that, there's always weddings now on Thanksgiving, because I guess being Indian is like, how important is Thanksgiving to us? So this is probably a good weekend to host a wedding because everyone already has the time off. You don't have to take off additional time. Travel's a little bit more expensive, but like I said, you have the time to come to the wedding. And I don't know whether it's just like a thing dissolving because of me getting older, or if it's just a thing generally happening to other families, right? Whether it's Indian, white, black, doesn't matter. How important is Thanksgiving still to some families? I think the whole concept of a turkey has kind of gone out the window. People had to innovate to that whole Dunkin' frying it thing, and then they were starting fires and burning down their houses. But no one really likes turkey. And it's like, oh yeah, but with some gravy. Bro, you're just drinking gravy. Turkey is ass. Even I was talking to my barber about like what she did for Thanksgiving. And she was like, oh yeah, we had chicken. I'm like, yeah, a valid thing, a valid substitution, right? It's not traditional, but who cares? This tradition is kind of just wearing off a little bit. There's so many articles about like how to avoid a family conflict at your next Thanksgiving dinner. What? I thought that was the whole point of Thanksgiving. Everyone getting together, some people bickering, people upstairs drinking secretly. Oh yeah, like you can't let your mom see this. Here, have a little sip of this. That was Thanksgiving. And it's just died out naturally, I think. I don't think it's anything like, oh yeah, we're not close with that family anymore or anything like that. But I do think people are just more to themselves. Thanksgiving in general, right? Then you tack on Black Friday. Holy shit, what happened to Black Friday? People don't even we used to send deals to each other. Oh yeah, this thing's going on sale at Walmart. This thing's going on sale at Best Buy. There's a whole trend on TikTok going on right now where people go into like Best Buys, Targets, Walmarts, and they're removing the price tag of like the Black Friday slip. Let's say the TV's $399, and they remove the slip and the old price is $399. Now, TVs in general are already so cheap throughout the year. And I remember that being probably the most hottest commodity, the hottest commodity you could get on Black Friday. That and then like some game consoles, games. But all that shit's just on sale throughout the whole year now. No one's really waiting in line anymore. Unless something's dropping, right? Like I remember when I was a sales associate at Finish Line and these new Jordans were dropping. This is back when retros were still probably a lot more prominent than they are now, especially with the sneaker world being so diluted. And I went Thanksgiving night to the store on midnight, and people tore down the automatic doors to the mall just to get in line earlier than other people. That's how crazy Black Friday was. I remember being a kid and we used to have to rotate the person that was in the car because it was so cold outside. I would sit in the car from 3 to 4 and then go outside and take my dad's spot in line. And then we'd rotate. My mom goes in, you do all this shit just to get a $25 coupon to Macy's at 6 a.m. when they open their doors. That was Black Friday. Now, bro, I think it's just how you can buy things through so many other avenues. In addition to, people are just tired of this shit, right? People don't want to go into some store and have to wrestle someone. People already have 4 TVs in their house. People already have a game console. What? Like the consumerism can only go so far. And for the things that I want to now consume more of, right? Like let's say clothes, shoes, accessories for the house. All of that shit you're buying online. There's a TikTok shop now. Instagram has a commerce avenue. Everyone has an affiliate link. You're finding stuff through so many avenues that you're just buying stuff like that without even ever leaving your house. And then that shit shows up in 2 days. You can return it after using it if you want. You buy something from Best Buy, you got to have a receipt. You got to make sure that thing's still in the box, plastic wrapped and everything. What is the point of even going Black Friday shopping anymore? I understand, like, it's still a feeling like that Friday of the wedding when we didn't have anything to do during the day. Me and my 2 boys, we literally just went shopping. Things weren't necessarily cheaper, but it's a little bit of the hoopla, right? We weren't in line at 6 a.m., but we went at 12 and just bought stuff to buy stuff because of the feeling. But no one's really in line waiting for shit. It's just not there anymore. Oh, man. Next week, I promise I'll be back to the usual format. We'll have some headlines. We'll talk about a variety of concepts versus just staying under the wedding umbrella for the full episode. But a quick tangent to add in a couple of notes. One being, I think this podcast stuff has definitely helped me just talk to people more. I just talking to the ether, right? When I'm recording this, there's just a phone in front of me, nothing around. And it is harder. Some people maybe enjoy this a little bit more, but I'm someone that enjoys the person's face in front of me, so you can kind of go off their expressions, go off of what they're saying, add on to what they're saying. And that's how kind of the conversation keeps going. So at these weddings, I was just like, damn, like I have not talked to these people like this ever. And I wonder if it's just because I'm so much more comfortable talking to nothing now that I have this whole routine to go on when I am talking to someone. Secondly, thank you guys so much for the support. A lot of people were sending me their Spotify Wrapped for podcasts, and I was number 3, number 2, number 5. Who cares? Holy shit, that's awesome. So I greatly appreciate everyone that, has been listening, showing support, dropping likes, whether you told me or not told me. Thank you so much. With that all being said, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you next week, and goodbye.